Bonjour tout le monde et bienvenue à Parlons Otaku. Je me présente, je suis Olivier, je suis Oli, oui. Et oui, donc on me connaît assez bien. Bien sûr, une vidéo que vous n'êtes pas habitué de voir, j'imagine. C'est un projet que je tentais de faire depuis quelques semaines, disons. Et on va voir comment ça va aller. En fait, mon projet, c'est de prendre prendre des animés qui sont basés sur des visual novels et de faire, en fait, les visual novels devant vous et de pouvoir apprécier ce visual novel ensemble. Le premier qu'on va tenter, c'est The Fruit of Grisaia, qui est un visual novel qui a été fait il y a quelques années. 2013, en fait, si je vois bien, à partir de 2013 au moins. Et il y a un animé qui est fait à partir de ce visual novel. Un animé que j'ai déjà vu, en fait, la saison 1. Je sais qu'ils ont fait aussi Labyrinth of Grisaia, puis Eden of Grisaia, si je me souviens bien. Malheureusement, j'ai pas vu les deux saisons, mais j'ai vu la première saison, je l'ai en DVD chez moi. Donc, voilà. Je sais pas si vous avez vu l'animé. Je sais pas où jouer au visual novel. Je sais pas si ça respecte 100% l'animé. Moi, je dois admettre, j'ai déjà vu quelques playthroughs, si on veut en anglais, du visual novel, mais j'ai pas vu le visual novel au complet. Tout ce que je peux dire, c'est que il me semble que ça va prendre un certain temps. Ça va prendre un certain temps avant d'avoir vraiment des choix, si on veut, qui pourraient influencer l'histoire. Je connais pas les choix personnellement. Et c'est ça, donc je sais que ça va prendre un certain temps avant qu'on va avoir un choix à faire. Et voilà. Je sais même pas si le premier épisode je vais avoir un choix. Bien sûr, je parle en français en ce moment, mais il n'y a pas de version francophone du visual novel de Fruit of Grisaia, ou s'il y en a une, ben je ne la connais pas. Et donc, ce que je vais faire, c'est que je vais profiter du fait qu'il y a déjà des voice actors dans ce jeu pour les personnages, les autres personnages que le personnage principal. Donc, eux autres, je vais garder la voix, mais le personnage principal, je vais lui faire sa voix et je vais bien sûr devoir parler en anglais. Et donc, vous allez devoir endurer mon, disons, mon accent français anglophone. Je suis vraiment désolé. Donc, voilà. Et c'est ça. Donc, commençons. Allons-y tout de suite du début.
状況開始
Oh, un peu fort. Baisser un petit peu. Intense sunlight blazed down on the road as if to declare the arrival of summer. Vraiment désolé, ça part mal. Ah, voilà. Ok, parfait, on y va. The burning asphalt radiates heat, mixing with the scent of the tide to form a thick, muggy atmosphere. It's way too early for this kind of weather, and when the temperature abnormally high, you're always going to get some people who lose their head and start acting erratically. In other words, it's only natural that the police will be on the lookout for suspicious types at times like these. It was about 10 minutes ago that I realized I'd been mistaken for one of these headstroke adult sort.
名前が風見雄二。住所は山梨県大里郡。
Surpris, mais ok, même les polices ont des voix, c'est parfait. Sweat pouring from his forehead as he examined my license. The policeman in front of me takes a glance at the large backpack I'm carrying, then continue the background check.
山梨から来たのか、あんた。
Yes.
この町には何の用事で？大荷物背負ってどこかへ行く途中かい？
I told you this 10 minutes ago. I'm moving. This luggage is everything I own.
それじゃあ引っ越し先の住所は？
Like I said, I don't have one yet. The answer is not going to change no matter how many times you ask.
引っ越し先の住所も決まっていないのに引っ越してきたっていうのかい？ 君、何を隠しているの？そろそろ本当のことを教えてよ。
Where did you came from? Where are you going? What are you planning to do there? Depending on the context, these could be a fairly philosophical question, but as far as police inquiries go, they're pretty run-of-the-mill. From their perspective, anyone wandering around without clear-cut business is by default a criminal of some sorts. Let alone someone like me, carrying around conspicuous bulky luggage, it's as good as guaranteed that they'll stop me, especially if I don't know where I'm living. That is their job, I suppose. Since this little scene acts as a criminal deterrent through its visibility, it's not an entirely wasted effort. But unfortunately, I don't have all day to play along. I drop a glance toward the digital watch I'm wearing around my left wrist. Sorry, but I'm keeping someone waiting. I really can't spare any more time for hanging out with bored cops.
バカにしてるのか？
A bored police force is proof that the city's at peace. Take it as a compliment. C'est vrai. Inexplicably, taking offense at my tone, the police clicks his tongue in irritation and tosses my license back.
じゃあ、風見さん。悪いけど、お背中の荷物の中身、確認させてもらっていいかな？
I refuse.
どうして？何か見られたくないものでも入ってるの？刃物とか持ってない？
I don't rely on blades. Policy of mine. Look, are you really telling me to unpack all of this on the spot? It'll take an hour at least. 30 minutes just to take it all out, 30 minutes to stuff it back in.
じゃあ立ち話もなんだし、警察署に行こうか。冷たいお茶ぐらい出すからさ、そこでゆっくりお話を聞かせてよ。
A nice lunch act, eh? Yeah. I just told you I don't have the time. I can't accept voluntarily questioning. I know you can't just back down in this situation, but if I say I'll head over there myself later, could we wrap this up for now?
そんな都合のいいこと言って、そのまましらばっくれる気だろ。だったらせめて自宅の連絡先を教えてよ。
As I've explained, I'm in the middle of a move. I've vacated my old place, so I don't have an address.
じゃあご両親の住んでいる実家の住所だ。まさか両親もホームレスだとは言うまい？
I don't have any parents, no siblings or related either. They're all dead. Oh, okay. They're all dead. Alright, ça part bien.
本当に？やっぱり何か隠してるんじゃないの？
En même temps, je comprendrais pourquoi il serait vraiment suspicieux, le policier, mais en tout cas. This is going nowhere.
警察署まで来てくれれば無駄な問答をしなくて済むんだけどね。今パトカー呼ぶから少し待っててくれる？
Then at least let me call the person I'm supposed to be meeting. At this rate, they'll be waiting all day.
そりゃ構わないけど。相手は誰？お友達？
I'm not going to tell you that.
言えないような相手なのか？
It's your mother. We had an appointment at the hotel tonight.
は？
Mother's joke. Alright. Ça part. I was keeping quiet out of the goodness of my heart. You drag it out of me. So don't blame me when your parents get divorced and your happy home is shattered.
バカにしてるのか！
Oh god. What the fuck? Okay.
え？
About 30 meters away from where we're talking, someone screams. A desperate cry follow within seconds. A woman collapsed on the street, stretching out her hand. Her high heels lie on the ground, knocked off her feet by the sudden fall. They even do like the walking. Ils font même la course. C'est vraiment nice, tous les sons qu'ils ont mis. Just about halfway between us, there is a man in a flashy Hawaiian shirt running in this direction.
警察か
Although the thief flinched for a moment at the sight of the policeman's uniform, after a quick check for any convenient side street, he barrels onward.
どけこら
Dokikure. Okay. Brandishing the stolen bag menacingly, his hand violently gestured out of my way.
止まれ止まりなさい
The cop is completely flustered. He's quite clearly unaccustomed to this sort of situation. Do your job. Fais ta job, la police. Fais ta job. While he's panicking, the distance between us and the thief shrinks with surprising swiftness.
邪魔だ
The man runs in a straight line toward a breakthrough to freedom. I happen to be standing directly in the middle of his path.
どけっつってんだろうが
As he prepared to strike with the bag, I ascertained the movement of his shoulder and arm from the first sign of motion, and I hit his wrist sharply just as he began to swing. The man's arms instantly stiffen and lose all momentum. His eyes pop wide open in shock. I immediately grab the collar of the Hawaiian shirt he's wearing and firmly draw him towards me. Before the man can offer resistance to my pull, I smoothly reverse and use my body weight to shove against him. When pushed just as they've begun to brace themselves against being pulled, anyone except a genuine expert is going to be thrown off balance. Nice shirt. Where'd you buy it? Wow. Shock spread across the man's face as his knees buckle against his will. I tried to gain a chuckle using my grip on the neck of his shirt, but the man promptly drew his head back and shift his body to the side, preventing me from landing a hole on his neck. Although I expect as much from a glance as his build, it seems like he's somewhat experienced in judo. But in this case, you will have been better off trying a decisive tackle. Rotating around the purse snatcher in the opposite direction of his slide, I yank his right arm upward with both hands. In one movement, I've circled to his back. Aïe. Ok, juste pour dire, là, pour avoir déjà eu une situation similaire que je me suis fait faire ça, là, ça fait pas du bien. Ça fait très mal. Next, pull back on the opponent's wrist and elbow and pin him to the ground. This is just basic Aikido, by the way. Hey now, you've got your priorities all wrong. Before worrying about me, you should kill the guy who sold you that shirt. Ok, notre personnage est vraiment badass, comme dans l'anime. Donc, parfait. Perhaps unconsciously, the man no empty right hand desperately slaps at the asphalt. The man's now empty right hand. I'm so sorry. While holding the teeth pin, I quickly shoot a look behind me. Don't just stand here. Don't just stand there. Excusez-moi. The policeman jerked up straight in response to my angry shout. Taking a pair of handcuffs from the pouch around his waist, he runs over to restrain the criminal. The purse snatcher seems to have resigned himself to his fate and doesn't offer any pointless resistance. He accepts his red-handed arrest for thief docilely, then sits quietly on the ground with his head hung as the policeman radios for backup. Apparently they weren't too far off as a siren approached in no time. Two policemen get out of the arriving cruiser and push the criminal into the back seat. As I'm quietly watching the scene in perfect passivity, the policeman from earlier runs over.
犯人確保の協力を感謝します。
You're welcome, sir. Merci beaucoup. I'll pass on the letter of thanks. So how about letting me move on?
そうもいかんのですよ。宣告の件も含めて、できれば改めて署でお話を聞かせていただきたいのですが。
Il va vraiment pas lâcher l'affaire. My god, alright. Figure as much. Shaking my head in exasperation, I silently rebuke myself. Should I have just left it alone? As the policeman pushed at my back, a glance at my wristwatch informed me that I'm already 5 minutes late for my meeting. Ok, 15h30, le 1er juin.
もうそろそろ話してくれないか。
Maintenant, on est rendu avec un détective. Oh wow. 30 minutes have passed since I was brought to the interrogation room, familiar as the place where criminal breaks into flop sweat in TV dramas. I'm sitting on a cheap foldable pipe chair, my arms fold in perfect silence.
そうやって黙ってちゃ、いつまで経っても帰れないぞ。誰かと待ち合わせをしているんだろ？さっさと話して終わらせた方がいいんじゃないか？
Ok, mais en même temps, genre, sérieusement, je viens d'aider, genre, à arrêter quelqu'un. Il aurait pu tellement me laisser tranquille, là. En tout cas, mon opinion, là. Instead of responding, I close my eyes, a silent statement indicating that I have absolutely no intention in opening my mouth. The detective clicked his tongue in exasperation at my attitude. I've got a pretty fair idea of what I'll be doing next.
やましいことがないなら話せるだろう。いつまでだんまりを決め込むつもりだ。
The sound of something being struck and an even louder attempt at intimidation. This is the point where a timid guy will be jumping in his seat with his eyes wide open, like comme je viens de faire, or maybe staring at the floor and quivering. As for me, my eyes are still shut and my arms are still folded quietly. My mind is a total blank. I've been accustomed to adults shouting at me like this since I was a child. Following the threat stage, the next step will be for him to grip my hair and jolt me back and forth. But I'm dealing with an official authority group here. I should get off without direct violence this time. Not to say that they won't pull out the old TV cliche and harass me by shining a desk lamp on my eyes or something of the sorts. I can roughly translate the detective site. God damn it, kid, these days. I gently opened my eyes in order to sneak a look at his disgust face. The detective sitting in front of me seems to be challenging the Guinness World Record for the most dramatic asymmetry between the left and the right side of a human mouth, and maybe he's just scowling. When I let out a snort of laughter in response to the unexpectedly pleasant sight, the detective scratched his head his head violently and glare at me.
あのな、兄ちゃん。誰に入れ知恵されたか知らないが、警察で黙秘したって何も得はしないぞ。ん？
It won't gain you anything, but you won't lose anything either, except your time. I turned my gaze to the clock on the wall of the sweatbox. An hour has already passed since the scheduled time for my meeting.
なんとか言ったらどうなんだ！
The detective struck the desk with excellent comic timings. The best part is the way he knocks his ashtray off the table every time he does this.
もう、なんなんだよお前は。
His tone disdainfully fed up. He stoops down to pick the plastic tray off the floor. Kazami Yuuji. Occupation. Student.
だから、そりゃもう何度も聞いたっつんだよ。調べたよ。山梨から来たんだろ？過去の犯罪歴はなし。歩道歴も交通違反もなし。何かを表彰されるようなこともなし。ここまで綺麗な懲罰なしってのは変だろ。まるで誰かが細工したみてえに真っ白なんだよお前は。お前は一体何者なんだ。
Kazami Yuuji. Occupation. Student. Je vais juste répéter ça chaque fois, je pense.
なんだそりゃ。警察に捕まったらそれしか言うなって誰かに言われてんのか。お前どっかのテロリストか。
Kazami Yuuji. Occupation. Student.
もういい。黙れ。
First, it's say something. Now it's shut up. Talk about hard to please. Our capricious detective scolds yet again and scratches his head. Flakes of dandruff drift grandly through the air. Based on his thoroughly wrinkled suit and heavy stubble, I'd say he hasn't been home in days.
なあ頼むよ。こっちの事情も考えてくれよ。
Another sight. It's enough to make me want to have one myself. Because we both take our work seriously, it seems like we're stuck going around in circles.
さっきのひったくり事件の取り調べも進まないし、厄介なの捕まえたよまったく。
For dropping that on our lap. My God. Le policier est en train genre de comme blâmer le fait que j'ai arrêté quelqu'un. Puis que là je viens de leur donner de la job. Wow. Just as we roughly complete this exchange of one-sided bitterness and mutual glaring, there's a well-timed knock at the door and the sound of it being unlocked.
はい。あ、お疲れ様です。
A slightly plump elderly detective entered the room. Given the respectful tone of the detective I've been chatting with, he's probably a superior of some sorts.
どうかしましたか？はい。ええ。
After a quick glance in my direction, the elderly detective whispers something into the younger man's ear. Before long, the younger detective turned toward me with a decidedly nonplussed expression.
釈放だと、お疲れさん。
Why now? All of a sudden?
それはこっちから聞いてくれ。それじゃあな。
With those parting words, the young detective leaves the room. The elderly detective watched him go and then faced me with a greasy smile.
いやー、すみませんでしたね、風見さん。こちらに連絡が行っていなかったようで、先ほどようやっとあなたの身元保証人の方と連絡が取れた次第でして。
The detective stared at me with eyes like a dead fish.
市ヶ谷の関係者なら最初からそう言っていただかないと。
If you'd known I was from Ishigaya, from the start, wouldn't you have thrown me in jail, stripped me naked, and sprayed me down with a hose?
まさかまさかご冗談を。うちは天下の桜だもんですよ。
Oh. Just to let you know, I'm nothing but a student. My work at Ishigaya is only a part-time cleaning job. Cleaning job. Yep.
掃除ですか。なるほどね。うまいことおっしゃいますな。さすがはインテリさんの集まりだ。
In response to my words, the detective twists his mouth into something vaguely resembling a smile.
いやー、ですからね。そちらさんもそんなご事情ならば、もっと早く言っておいていただければよかったんですが。ご存知かと思いますが、上があれですから、いろいろとややこしくてね。
Oui, pour un moment, oui. Sarcasm drifting from every pore of his body, the detective treated me with transparently insincere courtesy. He's perfectly civil on a superficial level, but the atmosphere in here is growing increasingly unpleasant. The younger detective from before, hard-ass that he was, seems infinitely preferable. Did you inquire to Ishigaya about me?
いいえね、あなたのお名前をデータベースで検索させたんですがね。検索している最中に電話が鳴りまして、受話器を上げてみたら防衛省の特別の機関からのお電話でして、うちの犬がそちらで保護されていないかと聞きましてね。いや、驚きましたよ、実際。うちは保健所じゃありませんからね。
Oh my god. Ce rire forcé. Since you found my owner and confirmed that my leash is properly attached, I should be able to leave you now, right?
どうぞご自由に。ああ、そうそう。あなたが今度転入なさる学園の学園長からもこちらに連絡がありましたよ。
That's so.
なかなかいらっしゃらないからと近隣の署に片っ端から連絡を入れたそうですよ。おかげでうちの署長も会議の途中で電話に引っ張られたようでして、散々闇を言われたと言っておりました。
Ça vous apprendra, Colin. Where's my backpack?
お預かりした荷物は玄関に出してありますので、そちらで。なんでしたらうちの車でお送りしましょうか？
You're not getting funds from public taxes in order to chauffeur bums like me around, are you? I'll walk. After I'm urged out the door by the old man, the young detective appeared from the rear, carrying the backpack they'd taken from me.
とんでもない重さだな、これは。一体何が入ってるんだ？
Je sais pas, un bazooka, quelque chose. Bit of a thought question. I guess you could say my life.
ギャグだとしたら出来は悪いぞ。
That wasn't really what I was going for.
まあ、そんなことはどうでもいい。ちょっと。
Dropping the backpack next to me, the detective lets out a slight sigh. Thanks for lugging it out here. Pretty heavy, isn't it?
仕事で柔道やってるような人間に言う言葉じゃないな。田舎の警察とはいえ、その辺は仕込まれてる。
True. Guess that's natural for a policeman. Sorry. The detective smiled really.
なあ、お前、埋め立て地の学生なんだってな。
I'm wearing the school uniform. You can see at a glance.
制服が着られているって感じだがな。
He clasped my shoulder as we passed each other.
気をつけてな。いろんな意味で。
With those parting words, he heads back into the police station. Guess I don't make a convincing student yet. I'm wearing black slack and a short-sleeved dress shirt, as well as a blue tartan check necktie. Excluding my somewhat longish hair, I should be the very image of a student. I guess it's a little difficult turning into something like that all of a sudden. But it's probably precisely because this is difficult that I've decided to give it a try. For a while, I myself didn't understand why I'd asked for this, but now I think I have a faint grasp on the reason. I wanted to become something that I couldn't understand, something that I wasn't. At the moment, I've done nothing but smooth down my edge a bit. Perhaps later on, I'll become a student on the inside as well. The sun that had been climbing upward earlier has now finally reached its zenith. The temperature keeps on rising and sweat oozes from my skin. I was pretty sure she'd pick me up, but Sensing a presence, I lower my gaze from the sun. My eyes, well accustomed to the high contrast lighting, project a human form in silhouette for only the briefest of moments before the details fade in.
お勤めご苦労様。
A woman raising an awkward salute, grinning broadly stands before my eyes. Spare me, I don't want to see a pose like that outside the workplace. In the first place, what's with that dopey salute? The girls in bikinis in the Maritime SDF recruitment poster have more impressive form. Ouch.
もういいじゃないの。早速のお仕事をねぎらってるのに。
I don't recall contributing enough to society today to deserve an appreciation. Any appreciation.
はいはい。来た早々とんでもない目にあったのはわかるけど、八つ当たりはしないでちょうだい。そんなことより。
Je t'allais trop vite, je pense. Ouais. She opens the door of the car stopped next to her.
乗って。目的を遂行する方が最優先。でしょ？
Yeah, true enough. From Mishima Cape Police Station to National Highway 133 southbound, we proceed to the prefectural highway and advance further out toward the Cape. A range of slowly rotating wind turbines come into view, indicating our proximity to the sea.
びっくりしたのよ。時間になっても現れないし、これは何かあったんだって連絡したら、案の定警察の厄介になってるし。
Ça part bien notre objectif, disons.
この暑さだから熱射病で倒れてるのかと思っちゃった。
I doubt you really thought I was sick.
どうしてそんなことが言えるの？
You were trying the police station first, not the hospitals.
そりゃあなたのことだからぶっ倒れる前に何とかするとは思ったけど、一応体のこと気遣ってるんだから素直に聞けばいいのに。
Accuracy in weather forecast and interpersonal communication make society run smoother.
可愛くない。
Pouting again, she continued her harangue.
第一、ここにだって本数は少ないけど電車は通ってるんだから、それで来ればよかったのに歩いてきちゃうんだもの。それも聞いてびっくりしたのよ。ヒマラヤにでも登るような大荷物背負ってるって。
Sorry, I ate trains.
だからって歩いてくるなんて常識外れよ。
C'est vrai que c'est bizarre, mais bon.
どうしたの？黙っちゃって。
Could you not mention this to the other student? I don't want them getting funny ideas about me from the get-go.
変なのが来たって警戒されるかもね。確かに。
I got enough of that from the police to last me a while.
やっぱり職質受けてたのね。
Oui. Kazami Yuuji, occupation, student. C'est-tu Yuuji? J'ai oublié. Kazami quelque chose.
はい、着いたわ。ここよ。
The car proceed about 500 meters along an area of reclaimed coastal land before she brought it to a stop. Désolé, j'ai comme eu 2 secondes, j'étais comme genre, j'attendais qu'une voix parle à ma place. So that's what he meant by landfill, I see. As I'm recalling the words of the detective from before, the woman continued our conversation with a suddenly cheerful tone.
どう？立派でしょ。この近隣の学校の中では一番新しいのよ。
Very nice, barely even looks like a school. Although I'd hear it was a new school, its external appearance generally isn't what I expect. A 3-story building, the pure white color of the outer walls is the only typical school-like element, with every other aspect more closely resembling a city office building. The gates to the right and left are less evocative of a school gate than a functional fence at some facility. The mount signboard, likewise, is a utilitarian thing printed in a simple typeface rather than a hand-drawn work of calligraphy.
もう、これからここがあなたの母校になるのよ。感慨深くない？
I've only just arrived at this place. If I say I was deeply moved by the sight, it'd be a lie. It'd be a lie. Alright.
味もそっけもない。人間想像力が大事なのよ。
With an exaggerated sight, she opened her hands wide in the overblown gesture of a third-rate actor.
新設校だからあまり学校のイメージがないかもしれないけど、学生だってちゃんと普通のいい子たちがいるのよ。だから
Hi, girl, hey.
え
Eh. Oh, de l'anglais. Where are you going, Yobi? Her rigmarole is abruptly interrupted by the high-pitched shriek of 2 girls.
やめなさい、マキナ。やめなさいってお願いだからお願いだから
What? Okay.
あまねなんで逃げるの？セミかわいいよ。
Oh.
虫は大嫌いなのよ。
My God.
助けて。
Quoi? Oh my God, okay.
むせ返るほど笑ってんじゃないわよ、マキナ。あんた、後で覚えてなさいよ。おやつ抜きにするんだから。
Ok, quelle première impression de l'école? Ah,
おい、
no way. Ok. Ouais, je suis bouche bée.
その、普通の、
Normal? Could you define that term? Is there a class where we chase each other around brandishing insect?
違うのよ。あの子たちは、ね。わかるでしょ？
I don't think I do, but it's nice to see that it's a lively school. ライブリ
しょとりあえず、行きましょうか。中に。
Having apparently forgotten what she was planning to do with her outspread hands, she totters through the school gate. Her office is positioned quite near the school building front entrance. The furniture is nicely arranged, based around an old-fashioned desk and chair. In contrast to the incongruity of the building external appearance, this room is a textbook example of the old-fashioned principal office. Ouais, je vois... Juste au cas, quick save. Quick save, c'est fait. Bon.
そこ座って。
I sit on the genuine leather sofa that's one of the room's more prominent furnishing. After waiting for me to settle myself, she lowers herself into the seat across from me.
学園長の立花千鶴です。ようこそ、美浜学園へ。はじめまして。
Donc c'est la principale. Ok.
それとも、お久しぶりね、の方がいいかしら、風見くん。
On a practical level, nice to meet you might be the better option.
そっか。そうね、確かに。
With a slight amused smile, Principal Tachibana takes out a pamphlet.
まあ、あなたのことだからもう概要は知ってるとは思うけど、一応説明はしておくわ。
She flips past a couple pages of the brochure. I hadn't noticed, but her fingernails are lightly polished.
ここは学校法人榊学園の運営する私学の学園で、全国から選ばれた学生たちを集めて、日々勉学に励んでいるの。榊学園の母体は、関東一円に私鉄網を持つ東浜急行電鉄グループ。その資金力をもって、最高の設備と教職員を揃えているわ。まず、
The principal talks shift to more detailed matters. The East Beach Express is an enormous corporate group with its hand in real estate and large-scale retail, but its core business is the management of the rail line connecting Tokyo and Haneda Airport. The EBE's management is shouldered by the Sagaki family, and it seems plausible that this Sagaki Academy Corporation is also administered by them directly, but that's only a guess based on circumstantial evidence. There's a lack of public information on the secretive corporation's activities. The very existence of this academy isn't well known. I didn't gain anything that could be called definitive proof from my investigation so far.
あなたは2年生として学園に入ってもらいます。早速明日のホームルームで転校のことをお知らせするから、それ以降は自由に振る舞って構わないわ。
Her fingers come to a stop, bringing her hand gently together. The principal raised her gaze from the pamphlet and meet my eyes.
どう？あなたのお望み通り、普通の学園生活を送るには最適の環境だと思うけど。
Like the one I request. I have a few questions.
どうぞ。
First, today is a weekday, but there was barely anyone on the school ground. What's going on?
少数精鋭なのよ。学生数はあなたを入れて6人だけなの。
Sis. Wow. Only 6?
そうよ。
The elite few?
ええ。
That include our friends with the cicada just now.
もちろん。
Question 2. Where am I living from today's on?
全寮制なの。後で学生寮の場所を案内します。そこからここに通ってちょうだい。
Dormitory, is it?
寮といっても、十分な広さのある個室だから安心よ。
In that case, not a problem.
以上かしら。
Before we finish, one last thing.
はい、どうぞ。
For this last question only, I stared directly into her eyes. I need to confirm the principal's intention in bringing me here. After all's said and done, is this a normal school? Bonne question. The principal closed her mouth. After a moment of silence, she opens it again. A gentle smile. I'm convinced that she isn't lying to me to further some hidden self-interest.
あなたがあの時に言った希望、ちゃんと覚えているわよ。
The principal slowly stands up and walks to the window's side. The athletic ground are visible from the window. Although resembling those of a normal school, the ground are skirted by an improbably high wall.
普通の学園に入って、普通の学生生活が送りたい。
The mere handful of students, the bizarrely extravagant facilities, the on-campus dormitory, the high wall surrounding it all, they clearly indicate abnormality.
でもね、あなたもわかってると思うけど、あなた自身の境遇を考えると、ここしか条件に合うところがなかったのよ。
I guess you're right.
私はあくまでも、ここは普通の学園だとあなたに言います。
The principal turns to face me.
だからあなたも、ここで普通に過ごしてくれればいいわ。何かしてほしいとか、私から言うことはありません。
Understood.
それじゃ、寮の方へ案内するわ。
Yeah. With a nod, I rise to my feet. On the ground outside, a gust of salty sea air kicks up, a cloud of sands. Alright.
ここが学生寮よ。管理室も含めると、部屋数は全部で11。
Alright, en fait, ouais, avec le temps que je viens de voir, ça va être le tout pour ce premier épisode, en fait, avant même que je vais juste saver rapidement. Donc voilà, on va continuer le prochain épisode le plus rapidement possible. J'espère que vous avez aimé mon projet. En fait, c'est un test que j'essaie de faire. Je sais que c'est un visual novel qui est assez long. En fait, c'est un très gros visual novel. Il y a beaucoup de blabla et pas tant que ça de choix, ou en tout cas ça va prendre un certain temps avant qu'il y ait un choix. Ça j'étais déjà au courant. Comme j'ai dit, comme vous avez sûrement pu remarquer durant l'épisode, j'ai dit que j'ai écouté la première saison de Fruit of Grisaia. L'affaire, c'est que ça fait des années. Donc l'histoire, je la connais un petit peu, mais genre pas beaucoup, puis je me rappelle pas de certains personnages rapidement. Donc c'est ça. J'espère que vous avez aimé les vidéos d'aujourd'hui. Si vous avez aimé, s'il vous plaît, faites-moi un petit pouce bleu sur la vidéo. Si vous avez apprécié le visual novel, s'il vous plaît, ne faites pas spoiler dans les commentaires parce que je vais lire tous les commentaires que vous allez mettre. Et j'espère vous voir dans le prochain épisode. On va continuer. D'après moi, il me semble, dans le prochain épisode, devrait avoir sûrement le temps de voir toutes les filles de l'école. Donc, voilà, j'espère que vous avez apprécié la vidéo. N'oubliez pas de suivre notre page Parlons Otaku sur YouTube et on se voit au prochain épisode. À la prochaine!